How's it going, guys? This is Swift the Shots here with some Yu-Gi-Oh related content for you that is actually non-zombie. This will be a deck profile for Shaddoll, which I actually have in full. I got it all before pre-release and wanted to really have a quick test with it. Wanted to play it considerably. I've got a fair amount of testing under my belt with it and all the interactions that I can do for the most part with this deck. So I feel confident enough to give you a deck list. Basically, I went to locals on Saturday with this and managed to top, partly because people don't know what they're doing, partly because this deck is actually really very good. It's very consistent. It works really well. So I was just opening the curtain. Works really well, and it has so many options available to it. So I'm going to get straight into the deck list for you, and then we'll talk about my locals afterwards. And then basically go through why I think the side is massive for this deck. If you want to top with this deck, you have to have a good side deck. There is no other way around it. But we'll go into that in a minute. And basically I'll go through the deck first. I own 2 Shaddoll Hedgehog, nice and easy. If you open this, you get your Shaddoll Fusion. If you Sinister grave, it rotors 1, so it's nice and easy. I wouldn't run more than 2 unless you're 100% desperate on seeing that Shaddoll Fusion, which is always really good. If you're running Armageddon Night, running this at 3 might be a possibility, but I run the Mathematician, so for me I think 2 is just fine. So for me I'm going to run that at 2 because it's really good. It doesn't do anything. Here's the problem I find with it. It's only 800 attack, so 200 defense. It doesn't do anything for you outside of get you another card, so it can't really attack. It can't really do much else. It's only good for an overlay with either itself or the Mathematician, and if you're running Armageddon Night you can't overlay with it, so that's why I don't think it's that great at 3. But what I do think is great at 3 is the Dragon. Shaddoll Dragon is at 3 in my deck. I won 0 Squamata or Lizard, and this is at 3 instead. The reason this is at 3 instead is because this card is incredible. If I had to run any less copies of this, I would have lost my locals at the weekend. I would have lost 2 matches at my locals at the weekend, because this card, what it does is insane. Not only does it flip send a monster back to the hand, so anything that can't be destroyed gets removed from the field. It got me around 2 Ophions in 1 game at the weekend, so that's why it's so good. It's resettable off Falcon. It's also really good in hand if you draw 2 of it, because 1 can be sent for the fusion. And the other reason you run the 3 is if you do draw 1 and there's only 1 left in deck, you won't be losing out on the MST ability of 1 of them. So that's also really good. And unlike Squamata, which people like to run, this inherently does something always to your opponent, where Squamata will only ever, when it's sent, send another one, and I find that you can send them too quickly. You want to run at a decent pace, so I run the 3 Dragon for that reason. On top of that, it's also level 4 and it's 19, so it's ridiculously good. If you can't do anything else with it, you at least can summon it as a 19 beta, which is so good for this card. It's just, in my opinion, the best Shaddoll. Next to the fusions obviously, but as a standalone card, this card is incredible. That's why I run it at 3 basically. I run the 2 Shaddoll Beast then as well afterwards. I wouldn't run the 3. If you're going to run 3, I'd recommend you run the new quick play magic card or spell card called the Monarch Stormforth, which can put this on board easy. But if you open this, both of them, it can be really dead. That's why I don't like running these. I opened this against Hat and basically lost 1 game because of it. So, well, it was a lot longer, let's put it that way. So yeah, its ability to basically do a graceful charity off 2 cards is really good, as well as its ability to just draw you 1 for free when it's sent. So it's also really good at overlaying because it's 5. It's also really good because it's 22, so it inherently does something once it's flipped up. It also is really good at making with the Falco and Black Rose or your Arcanite. So for all those reasons, I think it's really good. It's amazing. The utility of this card is amazing. So for that reason, I really like it. I wouldn't run 1, and I think 3 is too many. I think 2 is the right amount for this card. The last Shaddoll monster in the main is Falco. This card is also really strong because it always automatically resets any of them, including the fusion monsters, which makes it ridiculous. It's a tuner. It can tune with anything basically. Being 2 is really good for it. So it gets you basically off the Beast, 7, or Psyhemuth off the Dragon. And if it's beat over or dark hole, if it's beat over it's fine, but it gets you 1 back for free, so it's always a +1 if it's beat over and it's face down, or if it's sent and it comes back, so it always pluses itself, which is really nice. The only thing you need to watch for is if you flip this and activate effects, if they're warning you, you'll lose the Falcon and won't get the summon. So warning's really strong against this card, but in general it's just so insanely good, and its 14 defense is really good for the mirror where Armageddon Knight could be lurking, but we'll do a bit more on that after the deck profile. The next set of cards I run are really strong as well. Double Collarserpent and triple Wyverbuster, basically. These cards are so good that I won some matches before I'd even fusioned because of these. Their ability to float, their ability to keep the deck rolling if you draw dead, is what makes them so strong. They also help you plus off a fusion. If they leave from battle, they're still going to get you 1. If they leave through synchro, they're still going to get you 1. I find them so powerful and consistent, and they're not even small. The Collarserpent's 18 attack, 17 defense, and the Buster's the other way around, 17 attack, 18 defense. So even if they're used as a solid wall for a hand for a turn, they are really good. Even a hand bombing into them still gets them to search for 1. So they're really strong, and they also can be used to overlay with the dragon. And they allow your access to the rank 4 of pushes of the deck. For that reason, I really find them powerful. Outside of that, my actual sending engine or my discard engine for my deck to graveyard will be the Mathematician for the moment. There is debate on whether it should be Armageddon Knight or Mathematician, but I've done a separate video on that already on my profile, so go look that up if you want to see why I'm running the Mathematician. But the Mathematician's so good. It sends a beast, or it can practically send you a beast and then get beat over and you're +2. It's 1500, it gets over Falcon, which is incredible in the mirror. It's 1500, it gets over quite a lot of things. It beats over everything except Fire Hand as well, and beat over an Ice Hand. It sits there and just walls so much stuff. It also allows you with the Falcon to go into Armades, and that's really strong against Mermail and Hat as well. So for that reason I find this better, because the Armades access is incredible. It also, with this card, which I'm running just 1 copy of Felis, allows you access to first turn Black Rose when you top the Mathematician to start with, which happens quite a lot. I went first turn Black Rose twice to win 2 games over the weekend, so that was incredible. For that reason it was so good. And then we have I'm running Moralltach, 2 Moralltach because I run the Sanctums. The reason I find that these are good still in this build is not just the ability to stop someone doing something to respond to your, say, Winda or Construct, but in the game 2 scenario when there's a Shadow Prisoner mirror in the main that has to go face up, and Moralltach can just blow it away, and that's so important. So that, for that reason, I run them. And if people like hitting your back row, not expecting the artifacts in this build, they hit the Sanctum, and that helps as well. They hit the Sanctum, so that's so good. The 2 boss monsters I run, Shaddoll Dragon, of course, because there's so many darts in this. There's enough manipulation through the Collarserpents and Wyverbusters to get him off. So he is so good. If you get him off, obviously it's going to be a game. But the one I won with the most is BLS. If you end up running pulling loads of darks, getting a single Wyverbuster in the graveyard just makes BLS live, and you still get the Collarserpent once it's been sent. So this card's incredible. This card still wins your matches. It won me my game 2 match in the locals in the final top cut for me to win overall. So I won with BLS, which was kind of nice. This wasn't in at the weekend, but I sided in a lot, and I bumped up to main. I was running a dichotomy, but because I run enough types to reset, and this deck burns through stuff really fast. But I never really used it, but this went in and always got used. This card is still really good. This card just deals with such big problem cards that you don't want on the field before you do anything with your pushes, because then it just stops you so much. They can stop you so much by having so many cards on the field. This like equalizes your field for you, and that's really important. The one Allure of Darkness, so many darks, enough draw power. Not a lot to say about this. It's really good. It's really helps up the consistency, and sending any of the darks is fine. So particularly if you open double Collarserpent, you want this to go off. So the one Book of Moon, I wish Book of Moon was more than one at the moment, because this card is probably all the best ones in here of the spells and traps. This is probably the best one next to the fusion, because it resets any of your flip effect monsters face down, or can just stop them from doing anything with their plays as well, with on attack declaration, or in the mirror you can stop their Winda and beat over it. There's only 800 defense, or you can just do stuff to their cards. That this isn't out to Biscayas, which is I got blocked by with my construct of the weekend. So this is really powerful for that. And then we have the free Shaddoll Fusion, because this card is ridiculous. This card, if it just worked like polymerization, it would be fine. It wouldn't be too busted. But the ability to use the materials from the deck when they have an extra deck monster is what makes this so busted. Honestly, you have to run 3. You have to see it. And the ability to just re-add hands when you've made a fusion is insane as well. So this card, when they had an extra deck monster, because they had to push through, just went off, and I made constructs, and you plus like crazy off constructs. Construct is amazing as well. So yeah, I ran 3 copies of this. To complement my Moralltachs, I ran 3 copies of Sanctum. Sanctum is still ridiculous. Sanctum is your power trap of the deck of 100%. Because it just gets you your Moralltachs, it just lets you do anything you want, and if it's sitting there and they MST it, you just get a free pop. So I had one instance where this was dead back row, because I'd used both my Moralltachs and they MST'd into it, because I didn't want to run into back row, and they lost their monster, which was really important for me. So I ended up winning because of that. So Sanctum's really good. And this next one is another Shaddoll card that I did not rate initially. I rated the Shaddoll Roots or Core more than this, but now that I've played the deck more, I see why this is so important. You have to run at least 2 Sinister Shadow games if you want to do anything with this deck. The reason is it not only sends one, which keeps your ability to keep going through your deck going, it also flips one as well, which puts you even further ahead. So you can +2 off just activating this card by getting 1 flip, 1 sent, and both effects activating. And that's what makes this so good. It also sets up your Wyverbusters and your Collarserpent plays as well, because you send 1 dark and you just activate a Wyverbuster, and then they're floating for ages on the board. And that is so important. Opening one of these and a Wyverbuster won me so many matches, just because of its ability to help me get my dragons to float, as well as doing all the normal stuff that it can do. So that's really good. That's why I run it at 3, because I want to see it opening. Standard traps now: TOT, Bottomless, Warning, and Compulse. Compulse is really good in the mirror because of the ability to send back Winda. Not a lot to say about these. They're just basic traps really, so that's fine. The sleeper traps I ran, which won me 2 matches, believe it or not, are in fact Malevolent Catastrophes. I ran the double. This is a sleeper trap, so basically they're attacking into you because they want to clear your board. They've got back row set, and you just activate the catastrophe. Twice I did this at the weekend. Twice I wiped out 3 back row to my 1 catastrophe set. So it got MST twice against Mermail, and against irrelevant decks this is the easiest thing to side out. You go straight to siding this out, getting 2 normally. purely because they've read it then, if they've seen it, and they're just basically going to try and MST this off the board, or they'll stop attacking and play smart around it, so you want to side it out. So yeah, I put this in the hat ironically and didn't see it either, which would have been incredible. The hat matchup is so strong. If they open 5 and set and a Momelo, you're in so much trouble. So I had to have this in here in case that came up, and I had to clear that board. So that was the reason. So that's the main deck. Onto the extra deck, I shall go through a lot quickly because I've just realised the time. 1 Castiel, won me 1 game, sent back a Lind, which was really cool. 1 101, didn't actually make this very often, only made this once. Emerald, used this a lot. It resets so much with the rank 4 pushes you can do. This card's ridiculous. Made 1 Exton, won 1 game with that. Made 1 Durandal. This is coming out for a Beast Dweller, but I won 1 game with this at the weekend because it basically locked out the opponent's board with 3 back row, which was incredible. 1 Zenmayo, because you want to pop back row, you want to keep cards going. It pops set cards too, so it can help you also in the mirror and anything that you're unsure of. It just gets rid of it, and it's 26 beat sticks, so it's really good. 1 Volcasaurus, because this is burn. If you get this off, you can win games with it. It's basically in there to burn away at the opponent's life points. Basically, it gives you that access to the burn you don't otherwise have. This will be an Armades, but I don't currently have one. I should have one by the weekend, so this will be Armades. If I didn't have Armades for the tournament, it's worth saying, and I still topped, which I found incredible considering I went against Hat and Mermail. So yeah, this is currently a catastor, because catastor isn't quite as good as Armades, obviously, but because Armades will also beat over the Winda, but this card will still be really good. Anything non-dark, and Stellar Knights, the Traptrix monsters, anything that basically wants to beat over you that's not basically dark, is really good. This was a Goyo at the weekend. I've now changed it to Psyhemuth because Psyhemuth stops things like Ice Hands attacking into you. It can stop Construct as well in the mirror, which is really powerful. So for that reason I run that. 1 Arcanite. I won 1 game with my Arcanite. It just pops stuff. It's really good. And I won 2 games, of course, with the Black Rose Dragon, which is insane in this deck because there's so much access to making a Black Rose. So yeah, the last 4 are the 2 Winda. I didn't make Winda. It's best worth talking about Winda for a moment. I didn't make the Winda as often as I thought I would. In honesty, I thought this would be my go-to card, but actually the construct I made considerably more than the Winda. The reason being that this card is kind of small. If anyone who's played this deck has noticed, you can get lanced, and this card is so small. It's so small. Lance is going to be so good against this card that people need to start watching out for Lance now. Also, it also stops you in a way. If you're ahead, normally when you make this, you're ahead in the game, and your ability to special summon it and keep pushing the board through to maintain your advantage totally slows down once you make the Winda. So that's why it wasn't as good as I thought it'd be, but it's still ridiculous. If you open this, you should win the match. Against most things bar Hat and Prophecy, you should win the game. So I did it against Sylvans and won 1 game, so that was basically that. And in my opinion, the best of the 2 is the construct. I made this ridiculous amount of times. 1, because of this ridiculous amount of times. Not only is it 28 with a catastor effect on special summon monsters, but its defense is incredible. 25 to bring back off Falcon, as well as it when it's made sending another. So this is basically the play. You send either a Wyverbuster or Collarserpent as one of the other materials, and then you send a Shaddoll card. Depending on what Shaddoll card it is, its effect will activate. As Chain Link 2, you activate this. This goes off first, sending yet another Shaddoll card. That's not the same one as you've sent, obviously. and then you effectively are plussing 3 because the one activates in the graveyard that you've already got in there. Your activation of your Wyverbuster or Collarserpent goes off, so that's +2. Then the other one as a separate chain that activates in the graveyard, which would normally be a Falcon. So basically, you're normally going to go Dragon or Beast first, and then send the Falcon afterwards. So you're either popping something or drawing, and then you're getting the Falcon back too, as well as a Wyverbuster from deck. So it's +3, +4 basically if it's going to be a Beast, because you'll get the draw as well. And then you get the Falcon to the board as well, which is incredible. This is why I love the construct so much. That play sets up so many options for you if you get it off that you should win the game. That's why it's so much more important than the actual Winda. That's why it's incredible. That's why I like the card. So yeah, basically that's everything there for the deck. Stay tuned if you want to hear about my locals and how I did, but I'll put that in a separate video actually as a local subject because I didn't realise the time on this. But that's everything for this. It's still in testing mode. The side is so important for this deck. The side is so important. I'm going to actually spend 2 minutes showing you mine presently. Why the side is so important for this deck is because 2/3 of the things you're going to run are going to be the same as every other Shaddoll deck, and because of that, people are going to be siding in stuff to counter your Shaddolls. Primarily Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, which is always a problem card for this deck. But this is why I run firstly the 3 Max C for Infernity, for Madolshi, for anything that wants to summon quickly, because this deck moves at a decent pace but is not that good against responding against incredibly fast decks. So that's why you have to have the 3 Max C. The 1 Caius, which goes tandem with these 2 cards for the mirror, as well as you're running double Beast, so you can use this. I used this in the top 4 cut against a hat player with a Beast and got rid of a Fire Hand, which was ridiculous. So yeah, I went and did that, so that's really good. New addition is Thunder King. Although it stops you adding, it's really good against the Prophecy matchup because of its ability to stop them doing practically anything whatsoever. So for that reason, that's why it's in. The 1 Poly's in for the mirror, for anything that wants to be equivalent darks on the other side of the board. So you could side it in against Infernity as well. Also against Lightsworn, you could side this in and take one of their light monsters when you have a Shaddoll. So it's got utility, it's quite good. The newest addition is Zombie World. This card, I think, with the new field spell rules, has gone up in power, purely because you use this against Spellbook, Bujin. If they've got a ruler in their deck, so you can stop that too. Anything that wants to tribute, so Caius will be a thing against Shaddoll soon, so it stops that as well. But primarily, they can't. This has got better because you're going to use it in the Spellbook matchup, and they cannot drop the tower and get rid of your spell card, and for that reason it's really actually quite good. That's why I'm going to be running it. It just doesn't touch anything hardly in your deck at all, unless you're going to be tribute summoning for the Beast, which is really bad to be honest anyway. It'll just tribute something to get it out of hand, so for that reason I find it really good, and it's also good MST bait to keep your other stuff alive on your back row. I run the triple MST because you have to keep it in the side. If you don't, you take out the Malcats, swap them for MSTs, and you're ready for whenever they activate that Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. This has to stay at 3 in the extra deck because of Shadow Imprisoning Mirror being a card that's at 3. So that's why it's in here. The last traps I'm running currently are Light Imprisoning Mirror because I don't want Bujin's effect activated in the graveyard, and I don't want Lightsworn to beat me. And it has minor utility against things like Prophecy, and also this is really good for Satellar Knights too, so that's why it's in. So that's why that's in basically. That's the reasons why my side's done. So you see my extra and my main and my side. So I might put a video up shortly after this about tournament at the weekend, let you know how I played and how it went. But for now, that's everything. Sorry this was so long. I just wanted to make sure I caught everything, got everything put down. So yep, that's everything for me today. I hope you like this video. Comment on what you think. Let me know what you're going to play. Comment on let me hear about what you think you're going to side. What are you siding at the moment for the current meta? Do you fear Hat as much as I do, because it's massive at my locals, and this deck has problems via a lot of back row. So let me know what you're playing against, and let me know about your sides. That's everything for me today. I hope you enjoyed this content, and that's everything. So more content soon. Swift F out.